Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in this video we are going to be looking at the other aspects of pivot tables that are available to us when we are constructing or customizing them for our usage. So in the previous video on this series we started with how to construct a pivot table from scratch, and we also try to understand what the field lists look like, right? We try to understand the four boxes, the differences between fact and dimension, and what happens when you start adding them in each of these boxes. All right, so if you're not sure where this has all come from and what did we do in the previous video, I'd suggest you go check that out first before coming back to this video. Okay, and I would also like request you to please subscribe to my channel. We have more data related content coming your way, and it would be a great boost of encouragement for me as I keep doing this. So thank you very much, and let's continue with this video. So in today's video we are going to be looking at a few aspects of the pivot table analyze, and we're going to be looking at the refresh and the change data source. Okay, so this is the pivot table we ended up with the last time, and I have made a few changes in this actually. So what I've done is I've removed all the filters, so we do have the filters, but nothing is filtered out. And also if you see here, the last time when we actually took the total sales value from the data set, it came to about 2.2 million dollars. Okay, however right now if you see, we are at 1.63. okay, so which means there is some data that's not being captured inside this pivot table, and I've kind of deliberately done that because that's how I'm going to make you help understand how we do change data source and refresh. Okay, so if you actually come here now, you realize that data is missing, so we need to first understand that we need to refresh this data. So if you come here, you have two options. You have a refresh and you have a refresh all. Okay, so what is the difference actually? The refresh is only for the particular pivot table that you're refreshing, whereas refresh all refers to multiple pivot tables that can exist. Okay, so now for example, now if I just take this pivot table here, I can make a copy of this and add this over here. So this becomes an independent pivot table by itself. Okay, but what I can do is I can make this pivot table a little smaller. Let's remove the region and just keep it like this for now. Okay, maybe we can do it in a different way. Let's remove segment and maybe add something else, category and state maybe, or let's just do state. Okay, yeah, so I have two pivot tables now. I just created one pivot table of another one. Okay, and both are coming from the same source, right? So now when I have to refresh this, if I come here and I just click refresh, okay, you see nothing happened over here, right? Nothing happened over here. Why? Because whatever data source is selected over here, only that has gotten refreshed. Now if you actually come and see the source, you come to change data source, right? And if you see here, this is only being selected up to 7139, but if you actually go down, and I will show you 7139, right? So not very far, 7139. If you just keep scrolling down, okay, so this is 7139, and then after that you see the data is not getting selected, right? So there is a boundary over here. We are not selecting the entire data. Okay, so in such a case, what you need to understand is that if there is no change within the selected data for the pivot tables, if there is no change, okay, then the refresh does not yield a change. It just refreshes as is and everything's okay. But if something changes and you click refresh, then whatever has to change will change. All right, now same thing applies for refresh all as well. Okay, if you click this button by default without even going to the down arrow, it actually goes to a refresh all mode. So in that, which means that it will refresh all the pivot tables in the sheet. Okay, so now we'll look at the next one, which is change data source. Now what happens over here? Now as you just saw, if I click this like this, you saw that this is only being selected up to 7139. So you can see the dotted lines here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but the dotted lines are definitely there. Okay, and as you go down, and let's say I want to go at 7139, we're almost there, and you can see here there is a boundary. Okay, this is the boundary that we are in, which means the data is only selected till this one and the rest of it is not getting selected, which is why there is incomplete data in our pivot tables. Okay, so in such a scenario, what you need to do is you cannot do a refresh because you're not taking the entire data set. Now, unless you're specifically asked that, you are not supposed to consider the rows below that, you will have to refresh the data set and modify it. So that is where we go to change data source. Now it is only till 7139. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the columns like this. I'm just going to select all the columns like this, so that because I don't know how big this data set is and I don't want to drag and struggle to select everything that is over there. Okay, so now when I select this, you can see that the numbers have changed, right? So now we are getting the total as 2.2 million, 2.26 million. Okay, did it change over here as well? No, it did not change over here. So that's important to note, right? So that's because we only change the data source for this but not for this. Okay, if you click refresh, okay, if I click refresh, the number is still the same, which means this data source is still taking the old range, that it was selecting, and it's only taking in those numbers. Okay, so same thing I'm going to do here. I'm just going to change the data source over here. Now when I do that, if you see, we have the total over here correctly coming. Both the totals are matching. Okay, so this is how you need to understand the difference between a refresh and a change data source. And you also need to understand that, okay, if you took let's say we make another pivot table of the first one, the data needs to be changed on both the sources, so you need to do that on both of them. Okay, you need to do that on both of them so that the numbers are reflecting correctly. Otherwise you'll have one table showing you some numbers and another table showing you another numbers, and it can create confusion and accuracy issues because you're not using any filters as well, right? See, all the filters are all two and stuff like that, so you need to be very careful about that. And now I'm going to go into another aspect where you do not have to really struggle based on, okay, which table has which data being selected and things like that. Okay, the easiest way to solve this confusion is to actually convert the entire table into a range. So we have this table over here, and right now it is just a range. But if I come here, if I come to insert and if I create a table, so now it is selecting by default, because I have selected inside the data. By default, it's selecting the entire table, which has about 9,801 rows. Okay, but instead what I'm going to do is, actually you don't need to do that. So I'm just going to stick to this and I'm going to turn this into a table. So now this has gone from a range to a table. Okay, and you can see the everything. So whenever you try to add new columns and formulas and everything, this gives you more solid capabilities in terms of adding formulas and that array formula capability and things like that. Okay, so now when you come to the pivot table, okay, and if you actually come and change data source, okay, what you see over here is what you selected the last time when you selected all the columns. Okay, I can instead change this to the table range. And so if you come and see here, there is a table design tab that's open, and you can see the name of the table is table 8, but I will change this to Amazon sales. Okay, so I have named this table as Amazon sales. Okay, so if I just come here and if I come here and change the data source and say Amazon sales, you can see now that there is a change. The blank has gone because the table is as big as the number of rows. We're not adding any extra rows. Okay, so what has happened now is I've changed this data, and now I want to do the same here as well. So I can just come here, come to change data source, type Amazon sales, right? And as you can see, we are having the same thing. The blank is gone, the numbers are the same, and now we have now connected this, instead of a range, we have connected this to a table format. Now, what is the biggest advantage of doing this over what we just did earlier? Whenever there is an appending of data, okay, whenever data gets appended, okay, now let's say I'm going to the last few rows, and let's say I duplicate these rows. Okay, so let's say I just take these rows, okay, and I duplicate them. Okay, so I just added a few more values here. Okay, and then what I could do is I could just select them and I can add them to the table. Okay, so I'll just come here, table design, resize the table, right? So I just come here, I'm going to resize the table because that is going out of the table range. Okay, so I'm going to take it to 9809. I'll press OK, and now this is part of the new table. Okay, I'm just doing it this way because I don't have appended data over this, right? But let's assume that we got some appended duplicate data, right? So I've just done that, and now if you actually see, this is not nothing is being refreshed over here, but if I now refresh this, you can see the numbers have changed slightly, right? And now the numbers are 2261953, 2261953. So what happened over here is we added some more rows to the data set, and I just clicked refresh, right? We added few more rows to the number set, ensured that it is part of the table range, and I just click refresh, and both the pivot tables refreshed by themselves. I did not have to check separately whether this one is refreshed, this one is not refreshed, and so on. Both got refreshed by itself. Okay, so whenever you have an instance where you have to combine multiple pivot tables, okay, into from a single data set, or you have multiple tables inside a single sheet, then this is where you can use to convert your range into a table format and refresh the data seamlessly without worrying about whether we are missing any rows or not. Okay, so this becomes great for accuracy, and it relieves your stress around providing accurate numbers to your reports or to your stakeholders. All right, so I hope this was helpful in understanding how to refresh your data and how to maintain accuracy across multiple pivot tables. Please do like this video if you found this helpful. Please do share it with your friends if you think it can help them in their work as well. And if you can, please do subscribe to the channel, and do drop in your comments and let me know what you think about these videos, and also what kind of videos I should be making in future. All right, so take care everyone, and I will see you in the next video.